Good day everyone, John here from 3D Create Tutorials and welcome to my channel. So just checking out this very cool upgrade by Reallusion for the CC5 program. And so far I'm very impressed by the easy tools to mix between characters existing and new. This to me is a game changer for Reallusion and feel that this is a great asset to quickly create characters with the help of this program. So who is this program really for? Those that just want to quickly add in a character to a scene and set it up to show off your other artwork, or to quickly use this to make a short story by reducing time and creation method of your characters. This is also a very good way to create the base, basically, of your character, and we'll use this to create other characters and outfits to save time. So you could actually take your character and just kind of modify it in another program such as Blender or something like that, and just make it into your own character. I'm going to be taking the basic forms that are provided and just creating my own character out of that, and then bringing it into my own scene. Now this might be in separate parts, but the first part will be definitely showing how to create the character in Character Creator 5, and then going from there to create clothes and things like that. So if you want to check out this channel, just continue to subscribe so you can see the process of going through the whole process of creating a scene with a character. For those that want to learn how to just jump in and figure out a good way to start and to continue to make a scene and to make something creative. Okay, here we go. All right, so now in CC5, I'm going to this is a basic startup screen, and then we're going to go select the actor mixer to start the process. Okay, so we're going to select the base male here, and go ahead and select it, and then hit start. Okay, so now that we've done that, we got our wheel here, and one of the things we got to do is we actually got to start mixing. So select that, and once that's selected, it takes a few minutes to actually start. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to start. We're going to move the actual green dot to a location that makes sense. And I'm going to start creating this character from scratch. So I'm going to go more toward the elf-looking character and a little bit over just to kind of modify where I think this should go, just to get the first basic forms that I'm trying to create. Maybe down right about there. Okay, so I'm going to now go select the head. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit so we can see the head a little bit better and move it down with the move tool. And just zoom in a little bit more so we can see what we're doing here. That will help us really, get a better understanding. So let's move it over a little bit right there. And now we can start adjusting the head. So again, we can select different actual sliders here, nose, eyes, mouth, whatever you want. So I'm going to bring in the nose and kind of work that, just kind of make it where it kind of looks nice to me. Now I'm going to the mouth, just moving things around just to get kind of the look I'm looking for. Again, I'm just testing as I go through this process. And it's a lot of fun to kind of get your look of your character, of course. So once you like what you see, then go ahead and go to the next step. So now I'm going to go to the actual eyes. I like the mouth there. And I'm going to go up to this upper eye to see what that looks like. Again, every eye has a different form, so it's really helpful to be able to kind of move between certain things to see what you like. Again, you can go back and forth as much as you need. That's one great thing about this program. If you like something and you want to change it, it's real simple to do. All right, so we're going to go right about here. Again, you just got to figure out what you like, of course. So there we go. And now I'm going to go to the head form, kind of change this a little bit. And I'm going to bring this down and see which head form that I like. I kind of like that. It's kind of interesting. It definitely has a different shape to it. That looks kind of cool. Same with this. Again, you just got to kind of just maneuver and just get what you like. And again, I suggest just, creating something that you like while you're going through this process. It's all going to work out the same. So back in this section now, we're going to do the chin. And just kind of maneuver this around a little bit until we find something that we like. Kind of like that one there. And now the ears, or the top of the head actually. I'm going to go over here and kind of just change the top of the head here. As you can see, it's pretty fast to maneuver, especially if the computer's working good. So sometimes it could be a little laggy, but you might have to just start it over if you have to. You might kind of like this a little bit right there. And good with that one. I went back to the main head, and I'm going to move this just a little bit more toward this shape. Again, a lot of experimentation here. More like that. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the ears and kind of just adjust this a little bit. I think it's a little too big, so I'm going to bring it in a little bit. Just kind of dial that in. Again, ears are more like human style, so when you go back in and just kind of adjust a little bit, it actually will form more like a human ear. So you don't have to go too far with it. Again, just looking at the actual angles here and see how this looks. Rotate it around, see what you think. Okay, now back to the chin. I don't like that little problem on the bottom of the chin, so I'm going to kind of adjust this a little bit just to make it not as aggressive, I guess. And I think that looks a lot better. Sometimes you got to just look around, see what you got before you completely finish your object. So I'm going to now go to another body form, and I'm going to bring this more like an older type, kind of this very thin body style is what I'm looking at here. And I'm going to maneuver this. So I'm basically going over to the actual maybe thinner person's body build, about there. And yeah, I think that looks really good. I don't want to make him look too muscular, more of a thinner creature. All right, so now I'm going to select the hair. I got some add-ons for the hair. And if you don't have that, you might want to just create your own hair in another program or bring something in. But anyway, I'm going to select the hairstyle. Just going with the basic style here. So if you don't, like I said, if you don't have this, so you have some other type of hair, just try to use something that you like. Again, there's a lot of different add-ons, of course, with CC5 or CC4. So I'm going to use this one for now. It's not to say I'm going to continue to use this in the future, but for now I'm just going to put some hair on him. That's why he's going to have a hair. Okay, it's going through the process of adding the hair, and good with that. Now I'm actually going to go into the eye section and select the actual eye that I like. I'm going to bring this in and just material only change. So it's a bigger eyeball. I just thought that would look nicer. So I like that. Zoom in a little bit, see what I'm doing. Again, these are different eyes that come with. The new eyes look amazing compared to before. So I'm going to go with this green one, material only. I don't need to change out the whole eyeball, just the actual image that goes with it. So we got this into the center position here and looking at other options. So go back to the content now. I'm going to look at basically different eyebrows and things like that. Again, if you don't have this plugin or these add-ons, then suggest to pick something that you like of your own stuff. Yeah, I'm just adding a little bit of facial hair. Again, I might just change this later on. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep facial hair on him. Again, this is at level 1. So when I go to level 2, this will have a lot more definition of wrinkles and such like that. So keep that in mind. So kind of looking at this, changing eyebrows a little bit, see what I like. Again, pick whatever eyebrows that you prefer. So I'm going to put this now in an A pose because I'm going to use that to kind of, when I actually export this out, I want this in a pose. So that way when I bring in like clothes that I create or add to this character, it'll be always the same. And the A pose is exactly what I want to make sure that I export this out as when I do this effort. All right, so back down here again, I'm going to hit Actor Mixer again, and I'm going to use the current. Again, you could continue to do this as much as you want. Just continue to use the same model and then, change it from the existing, and it becomes really the center object, right? So I'm going to kind of just maneuver just a little bit more just to make it, but first I'm going to start mixing, of course. Once it's done, start mixing, then I'm going to move this more toward the elf. I want to make this a little bit more elfy. Again, it's just a preference. So I want to have a little bit more of the ears. Kind of change my mind a little bit on that. So just adjusting where I think it should go. Again, you can go between different things. The more you create and change and keep changing, the character will be completely 100% different than when you started. And your characters will always be different, basically. So there's no way that anybody would be having the same exact character as myself, for instance. Okay, I'm just going to test this out now, see how the walk looks with this character. Again, you want to kind of make sure that everything looks what you expect it to be when you're creating stuff like this. So that way, it's going to look like this when it walks, and you want to make sure that it's what you expect. Okay, so the character looks really cool walking. His eyes are moving. I really love the way they set this all up so you can see kind of what the character is going to look like while it's actually moving with motions and such. That way it's not just stagnant. Okay, so we're good with that. We're now going to go back to the actuals. We're going to stop it and go back to the A pose for the exporting option. So stop it, go back to beginning. And we can go down to the motion here and just select pose, A pose. Just like that. All right, cool. Back to where it was. All right, so we got the character and we're ready now to do the export. So some things to keep in mind. So I got this at level 2 for now. This is like the highest level. This is a lot more detail. Now, you don't need to put it at level 2. You can put it at level basic 0. And you won't see all the wrinkles. And it'll be very smooth. And that's a good way to really bring it into another project or into another program. So this way it's just easier to work with. But keep in mind, there's a couple things you need to do. If you don't do this right, you can have issues trying to refit your clothes back on your character. So the first steps are you're going to have to go in and actually modify some things. And the way you export it out is important. Otherwise, you're just not going to have good luck with actual modifications and stuff. So here we go. So I'm going to select the character with the selection thing here. So it's yellow, basically. And now that I have it selected, you want to make sure, of course, that you are on the right pose. So pose A. And this has the form, basically like at that angle, kind of like an A pose. And you can do a T pose too if you want. That's up to you. That's a choice you can make, of course. But I personally like the A one. I just feel like it's easier to put clothes and stuff on without having too much, spacing between. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm going with this. So this is the number one thing, is be able to export your character just like this. So when you go in here, you have different options, right, for export. You got avatar, which is going into like iClone, for instance. You got selected content, which whatever you have there, and it goes to a different form. Send to iClone itself is another option. OBJ is, so you basically got new character in bind pose, or you can do character with current pose. This is really the way you want to go for your export. And then you got FBX. And if you say selected, you think it's going to be exactly like it is, but it actually takes the arms and moves them upward. So it will not be workable. So I do not suggest the FBX. I would suggest basically exporting it as OBJ, just for your main form to work with. Now you can do Go Z, of course, to go to ZBrush, or other options here, Sketchfab or USD. But again, I'm going to show you this method because this is easier to me. I just go with the OBJ, character with current pose. This way it goes exactly as you want it to go. So you can do the Y up, it's fine. Z, that's the normal standard for, CC5. And it's going to come back in this way anyway. So, but you're going to have to do the changes when you go into Blender. Keep that in mind. So I'm going to keep this, not delete any hidden mesh, export materials. I don't want any of that. I don't really care about the materials. I'm going to create my own materials. So go ahead and hit OK. And we're going to create and call this something. So this is going to be elf character setup. Just real simple. And I'm going to make sure I remember where I put this, right? Save. And then it exports it out. So that's the first step. All right, so that's the first step. The second step is now go to the content, and I want to create some clothes to help, use to bring it into Blender, for instance, and modify that. So That's the next step. So I'm going to go down to the clothes section, which is your actual content. So basically, you can go to clothes if you want. And in here, you got different things: shirts, shoes, skirts, things like that. So I'm going to go to shirts and double click it, go in. I'm going to go to template though, because it's not custom. It is a template. It comes with the program. So make sure you're in template. And now we got all the shirts. So I really like the basic shirt itself because it has, folds in it and it just looks right. And it doesn't really matter what color you pick on the regular shirt. I'm just going to go with the standard, or you can go with like a long sleeve, even though it has buttons and stuff, it's not really that. Or you can go with a sweater. Sweater might be better because it's all length. I want to have the character have a length and a robe-like, outfit, like for way back when they had these type of outfits. And that's kind of what I'm portraying. So I'm going to go select this one right here for now. Even though I'm not going to use a shirt behind it, I'll get rid of that. Just going to bring it in. Again, this will actually bring it in and fit the character the way it is, right? So this is the objective, is to be able to bring this into Blender the same way and bring it back from Blender back the same way. If you don't do the OBJ process, you'll have difficulty, like I said, adjusting the clothes to fit the arms. And honestly, it's just too much work to do. It's much easier, this process. All right, so we've got the character here. I'm good with the sweater. I am going to go in and see if I can just select the actual bottom of the layered sweater. So let me just hide this. And it actually has both inside, which is fine. But one good thing is it goes all the way to the side. And you have kind of, so if I got this now selected, we can rotate easier here. But see how it kind of goes around the back? I don't like all these folds, though. It's going to be a little bit of work there to clean that up. Unless you want the folds. But it's definitely going to be some work here. And again, I have an easy way to deal with that. So I'm not going to be worried about that. All right, so I got the layered sweater selected, right? And I need now to export this out as well. So it is still in the A-frame pose. And see, this is right. We got to make sure we export it properly. OBJ. And we want it, I'm just going to say current character with current pose, because this will take everything as including the character. I should have done that probably the first time, so everything matches, but that's okay. We could just do this. We're going to say elf character setup, and then we could put a little note here with clothes. So we know that it actually has clothes added to it. Clothes. And we say save. Okay. Okay, we're now in Blender. This is 4.5 version. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to click off of that. I'm keeping a box here just so I can see what I'm doing. Go in the file. Now I'm going to import these in. So import. And again, I'm just going to keep the same setup as I'm going to do here. So if you keep it all at this version right here, at this look, I guess, I have everything here already set up for my documents area. So you got to make sure you know where you put your file, of course. But if I bring in the object here, you'll see that it brings it in massively high, right? So we're going to Control Z. This is always going to be the problem. The FBX actually does the right height. It actually brings it in as an actual box, almost like a little bit less than 6 foot, of course. But we want to make sure that we go in here now and kind of bring him in at 0.01. So 0.01, that's important. And we can bring him in now. So import and see where he's at. So he's in the right position, right? It's exactly the right location. Now, you can also do the actual, bring this stuff in through the actual CC option. I personally am good with that as well, but I'm just going to bring it in this way because I know that my form and everything is exactly the way I want it for making the clothes. So I'm not going to worry about that. So now that I got the character in here, I'm just going to select this box here and just delete it. Because I know that that's the exact position I want. And if you look at this character, He's not going to have any actual skin on him because I didn't really care about all that, and he doesn't have bones. It's just set up to help me for positioning everything that I need. Now, one thing I would suggest that we do here is we add some light, and I'm just going to do a quick light here, add light, sun, G, Z, and bring it up and over just to kind of give it a little different look here. I'll bring it over here just to kind of see what I'm doing. And again, it's just real easy this way. And I'm going to go zoom in here. So now I got my character set up, right? I'm going to go down back in, import the clothes so we can start working this stuff. I want to take this character and just hide him for now. And let's bring this in again. File, import, OBJ. And we're going to select the one with the clothes and character. And it's all set up to the standard, and it's 0.01 like we had before. Okay, so there we go. Now the clothes fits exactly as it should, and we're good, and the character is exactly where we need them. So we're going to go in here now, adjust this. So go to edit mode, and we're going to select this outfit with the face tool, just like this. And I'm going to say select linked. What this will do is it'll take everything here and it'll make it as the form I need to bring in. Okay, so we can actually now go mesh, separate selection. Very easy to do, and now it's separate. So I can hide this for now. Now there's other parts in here that don't make sense, which is this collar stuff. I don't want this. Again, go to object edit mode, and we're going to select the character this time. Select linked. Hit that, and then I'm going to also separate this out because this is all I care about is the body form. Selection, separate, okay? Now that I've done this, I can hide this one too, hide. And we could also do the shorts, select object, edit mode, select link. Again, it'd be good to have that. Mesh, separate selection, just so we have it. And again, that can hide, and then we can just select all these things here and delete them. Control Z. I don't want the light to be deleted. Let's just do this. Delete. And now we can unhide all this stuff. Okay. Simple as that. Easy. Clothes are perfectly lined, and now we can start modifying things. So a couple things we can do. We can do shade smooth on this. We could also add in a modifier if we wanted to, and we can add in a general subdivision surface to make it smooth and cleaner. And we can go to 2 if we wanted to. However, I'm not going to do that first. I'm actually going to go in here and start managing this as a little different option here. If you go in here and look at this, we're going to go into this mode here and see what we got in the way of not see-through, but this here. We could hide this other one and hide this, and we're going to work with this close. Now everything here is 4-point poly, which is what we wanted, but we're going to kind of clean this up a little bit. I think it's just a little bit too crazy, and I'm going to use the quad remesher here just because it'll clean this lot up. And I'm just going to go with the 5000, remesh it, and keep it on the X symmetry. And this way it's all the same on both sides. And it just looks better. So we're going to go back here. And yeah, the form looks better. I would also go in here and kind of just smooth this out a little bit to make it nicer. All right, let's continue to build this out. So one thing to keep in mind, if you don't have quad remesher and you have trying to figure out a way to do this, there is another option. Even though I've done this already, if you go into the actual data section here, there's a section that says remesh. There's also quadruple remesh, and there's some tutorials out there for this, but I'm going to focus on my quad remesher because it's just much easier for me. But that is another option that's free. So here we go. All right, so we're now going to go now into the actual front view and kind of get this in place. I'm going to bring the character back in to see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go actually to the actual sculpting mode. So click on sculpting, and we're just going to modify this actual sweater. Just real easy to do. I'm going to bring in, not the draw, but I'm going to actually go in and get the elasticity grab brush. So if you go in here and just click on draw, you could type in that, or you could just look for grab. So that's another way. And I'm going to go with the grab, kind of like in the middle here, that one. Yeah, so select that one. And you can change the amount of strength or the radius on the top. And again, I'm going to bring this up. It's too small, number one. So I'm going to do what I just did and bring the strength up quite a bit to 1. And then bring up the size. Well, that's a little too big, so bring it down. And we're just focusing on the actual sweater because the other object is not selected. So we're going to bring this stuff down and continue to maneuver this into place. This is another really good reason to have the quadro remesher, because once we do all this deforming, we have to go back in again and adjust all this stuff to make sure that these things are not stretched all over the place. And again, this is the technique here to easily maneuver your cloth. And again, you just got to take your time, slowly grab stuff and move it. So if you want to go in and actually, smooth some things out, you can do that as well. If you don't see it here, that's fine. You can just type it in, smooth, and it will come up with this one on the very left side. Click on that, and we can start using this to kind of smooth this stuff out. I'm using 0.7 and a small radius just to try to get it kind of cleaned up a little bit. And I'm going to do all this now just to clean it up and then add some more folds in later. But for now, this is the main technique to kind of just get it to where it's smoother and easier to maneuver with. You don't want a lot of folds because, again, when you're moving your fabric, it's going to move anyway with your character. So I don't want to have a lot of deformations within the fabric because it causes some other issues. So just want to have it smoother. So now I'm going to go back to actually dragging the actual grab brush. So we're going to select grab. Again, type it in, grab, or select it, this one again, and keep trying to pull. Now it's a little bit easier to pull this out because when I smoothed out all those polys, they had less issues there. There's just less forms there, smoother, and it cleaned it up so it's not as crazy. Go to the side here and kind of pull things down. Again, I'm trying to get everything down basically to the knee just to get a nice form. And again, we're going to continue to rotate this object to try to get it where we need to get it. It takes a little bit of effort and a little bit of time, but once you get there, it's nice. We have to clean that up on the bottom, of course. Again, we're going to rotate again to the front, straight to the front. Actually, one more time. There we go. Let's try to even this out as much as we can, and then to the side a little bit. There we go. I don't want to go past the knees because the knees might cause some other deformations when our character is walking. We don't want to have a lot of problems, so I'm trying to keep everything before the knee. So you're going to have some movement inside with the hips and everything. So again, I just don't want to go past the knees. Again, it's a choice. We can always do that if we want, but anyway, I'm not doing that on this character. So go back to smooth, and we're going to clean this up a little bit more. As you see, it does a really good job. Don't overdo it with the strength because it will actually cut into it if it's too much smoothness on it. And as I go through this process, I'm going to have to kind of adjust some things too because things move and it shrinks a little bit sometimes. You got to go back in and kind of just work it. So I'm going to clean up the bottom here. Just touch it basically every time. Just got to get the edges where they're formed at an edge. And that way it kind of gets to the center of that and smooths it out. All right, so let's go back. Okay, again, back to the grab brush. And we're going to try to maneuver this a little bit more. And this as well. As you see, it's a little bit too big, the radius, and it's causing it to pull too much from both sides. So in something like this, you just got to shrink it down a little bit. And it's not going to work too well unless you shrink it. So got to keep that in mind. See, everything's grabbing, so just lower this down a little bit. And then you can kind of control like the edges a little bit better. And there we go, much better. And pull this a little bit. See, that's a little bit too low right there. So we got to go in there and pull that up. Much better. All right, it's coming together. We got to do the other side now. So let's bring this over to the side, just like that. A little bit over there. And again, a little bit over here. I have to bring that up a little bit. Go to the side, pull it up, and this one pull down. We're going to do a little bit more smoothing on the arms as well once we're done. Okay, so that's coming out nice. So again, smooth. Type it in. Select it. We're going to bring this up a little bit bigger. And start smoothing this out so it's nice and clean. It'll just deform so much better with it being cleaner than over too many points and polys there. And the objective, of course, is to go back in and redo the actual object itself with the actual quad remesher, or you could use the quadra flow if you don't have that. So again, you go back and forth quite a bit. You can put shortcuts on your desktop to make it easier for those special brushes that I use quite a bit. I haven't used Blender in a long time, so it's been got to update it to make it better for myself. I've mostly been using 3D Code, but this is a great way to go about it as well. They've got a lot better on their tools from the last time I used them. So again, grab the Plasticity brush, and we're going to pull this out. Right there. One thing we could do to even make it better at the end is kind of just make some of the ends like thicker, and that'll keep it from, going into the skin if needed. Or you could hide your mesh that's underneath the actual outfit so you don't have to worry about it penetrating. That's kind of what you do in actual iClone. All right, so smoothing again a little bit more. You see, it's a little tedious, but once you get it, it's nice to have your clothes kind of set up. Again, you could do a lot more with it, adding a lot more detail to the clothes if you wanted to. I'm just going to go with some of the basics so we have an understanding how to start the process. Okay, got to do the grab brush again. There we go, right there on the elbow. Bring it up. Okay, that's coming out really nice. I'm going to bring this out a little bit more just to make it look a little bit more evenly distributed. A little bit there as well. Okay, coming along. Okay, I'm happy with that now. So go back to layout and let's see what we got. So now we can actually select the actual outfit. And let's look at the edit mode here and see what we've done. So by pulling all those, we get the stretching effect, right? So a good way to do that is just go back to remesh and do it again. And this will clean it up really nice. So everything's evenly, distributed between the object. And it didn't go that time because I got to go back into actual object mode when I do this. So go ahead and select remesh it now. Oh yeah, that came out already better on the side. Edit mode, see everything's nice and smooth now. And it looks great. So that's how you get your folds and set up there. And we're going to do a little bit more now at the next step. All right, so I think the clothes looks really nice. I'm going to get rid of some of these other actual things that don't need to be here anymore. So basically I'm going to delete everything but the actual outfit. So here we go. All right, so we're going to go and actually now select some shoes for this character. So I'm going to go to the scene, and I'm kind of looking at, I got the sweater here, but I also need to actually bring in some shoes so I can make something for this character so to be able to walk. So I'm going to look for actual clothes, accessories, And within clothes, there is a section that is shoes. And I'm just going to type in shoes on the top here. Quick, easy way to search for things. Shoes. Hit enter. Okay, so here we go. We got a different variety of shoes. And we want something that's going to be similar to what we have. Again, you can pick any of these and just redo them. Just an easier process if you want. I kind of went with the sandal because it's similar to the bottom part. I just thought this might be easier for me. So once I select it, I'm actually going to now add it to the character. And it converts it to the character, of course, to fit the character. All right, so now we have the sandals. I'm going to go ahead and export the whole thing again as character with current pose. Same setups as before. Say OK. And this way it'll become into the actual Blender and everything's set up properly. This time I'm going to put shoes here. Even though I'm going to go back in and delete all the other parts, it's just easier this way. So this way everything fits properly. Okay, so now in Blender, I'm going to actually now import that OBJ, and we're going to just keep it as is. And again, 0.01 is what I want. So I brought in the shoes, and again, I brought in everything. We don't want everything, of course, but that's okay. See, what happens is when I brought it in, it raised it up, of course, but that's okay. So let's kind of keep that in mind when you're doing this. You just want to bring the shoes in last. When you bring it back into iClone, and we don't want to save anything, that's going to be positioned wrong. So this character has to go away. So we're going to select the whole thing. And I'm going to now go to edit mode. We're going to hide that for now. Really just want to get the shoes. That's all we really need. Select edit mode. We're going to select these sections here. That section, that one, and that one. Again, I should just do one side because I could just, mirror it to the other side. So anyway, I'm just going to go select linked. That would just save time next time. Just select the one shoe, not two. There's no reason to have both. Unless it was, a different type of foot or something that makes sense. So I'm going to separate the selection now that I've selected it. And it became its own object. This is just a quick, real easy way to do stuff like this. And we'll go back to object, and now we can hide this stuff. And now we got our sandal. So again, like I suggest, I would just do one at a time. It's just easier to maneuver. So go here, and we're going to get rid of some things. All right, so now I'm going to start selecting things to kind of make it a little bit easier here. I'm going to go see-through so I can actually select things a lot simpler. So I'm going to go through, highlight all this stuff, and then I'm going to delete the faces. And take off the see-through, see what I'm doing. So there's a few faces here. Hit shift, and I'm going to select those three sections right there. Again, delete, and hit the faces. Now I've created a hole, which is fine. We're going to kind of remodify this to make it better. Now this is a little bit tedious work. You got to go in and kind of clean things up. But this is a good way to just model things. So I'm remeshing this to see how this will come out. Again, with quad remesher, I just think it's an easy way to kind of clean things up because all the 3-point sections are difficult to work around. Another thing I could have done is hide this part of the shoe. So again, I'm going to select this first, go to linked, selection, linked, and I'm going to basically, again, go to the actual mesh and separate selection. Now I can go in and hide that piece. So hide. And it's easier to work this now. I went to basically sculpt mode here, just kind of clean this up a little bit. So go to sculpt. And again, I just want to smooth this out a little bit. Zoom in. Select the actual smoothing. Just kind of clean it up a little bit so it's nice and clean. Undo that. Bring down the strength a little bit too high there. Just kind of slowly go through it. Just trying to get this middle front piece here to kind of just be a little bit smoother. It just will be much easier to work this stuff. I go in and out a lot of sculpting as well as the building process. Okay, so let's go back to object mode, edit mode. Let's go to edit mode. And again, select these front pieces here. Like I said, this is much easier now. It's a little cleaned up. You got to kind of maneuver into place here so you can get to things. Again, you can always rebuild stuff. It's not a big deal. So delete the faces. And we're going to start cleaning this up. So we got way too many sections or lines on the right side compared to the left side. So we need to get rid of some of that stuff. All right, so now I'm going to actually select some more stuff here. Just delete those faces. Too much stuff is here. I'm just going to get these as well. Delete the faces. And this will just help me do a little bit better when I'm working on this stuff. Now I'm just going to go around and kind of just select some of these points, and I'm going to hit the F key to kind of just, basically make this into a actual polygon, just for just trying to get myself kind of set up here. Again, I'm going to select this one here. This time I'm going to go ahead and go these. Whoops, don't want that one. And this one too, and hit the F key. And what I'm doing here is just trying to get it somewhat repaired. All right, so now I'm going to go to the actual knife tool, kind of work this. So I'm going to go all the way down, kind of get close to that in there, right click. Again, same thing here. Just trying to make sure that we have that detail. I didn't do the one in the center, but that's okay. I'm still going to redo this anyway. All right, so go back to selection mode. Now I'll select these ones here, these 4 sections, and do an F key. And we're going to continue the process here. One here. Also this one and this one, F key. It's an easy way to kind of rejoin things. F, okay. I'm going to select these. First I'm going to get these ones here too, F. And again, we just got way too much detail there. So selecting the face here, I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to start over with the points. This way I can have a nice clean polygon. So select all 4, hit the F key. And again, make sure you get the right one. F key, and this one here. And like I said, it just takes a little bit of work to kind of clean things up here. So I'm going to select the actual lines here. There's too many lines, so select this with the Alt key. See this one right here first, then this one, and hit Dissolve Edges. This one too. Delete, Dissolve Edges. I'm going to take these points and kind of maneuver them because they're way too deep. So it'll make it look a lot nicer. So select all those 6. And we're going to hit the G key and on the Y and just bring it out. So it has more of a roundness to it. Again, I'm going to do a little bit more work inside the sculpting mode. So we're going to select this line here. And again, delete this. Dissolve Edge. Like I said, I'm just trying to get it closer to where it needs to be. And this one too. Select Alt and delete Dissolve Edge. Now we got these points. It's easier to connect them. So for these, to close this up, and there we go, F, perfect. And now we can go and see what it looks like. It looks better. So we're going to go to the sculpt mode now and kind of clean this up. So again, we're going to use the actual smoothness to kind of smooth this all out. Just touch it lightly, like I said. Don't put too much strength on it. I got 0.268 on mine. Don't want it too much because it'll put a hole in it. So just do it slightly, very slightly. Yeah, that looks way better, of course. So we're going to go back to edit mode. We're going to select all this. Go to select and linked. And we got these all selected. And then we hit delete and delete faces. Like I said, I should have done that earlier. It's been in my way. So go to object mode here, and we're going to actually now do the actual quad remesher again. So bring this out, go all the way down, quad remesher, and then take off the symmetry on this one and then remesh it. Okay, that's done. Now the one that was done was the one up here. Let's just go ahead and hide these right now. And we could take these off completely and see what this looks like. A few things we need to do is we need to move this. It's a little bit off. All right, so we got this. We got a lot of detail on this. Like I said, it's too much. We need to lower this down a little bit. So again, object mode, and again, we're going to take it and modify it now. So again, this brings us down to 1,000. Remesh it. This will just become that much better. So I'm going to get back to the basic one. And again, this time I'm going to sub D it to see what it looks like. And it makes it more rubbery. And I think that looks a lot nicer. It's more rounded. I'm going to go sculpt mode on this one and just bring this up a little bit with the drag. So again, less drag. Bring this up. Again, doing a lot of maneuvering just to make it look nice. This needs to go down a little bit. Just a real easy way to kind of just manipulate your stuff to make it look nicer. Okay, go back to object mode. We're going to go in here as well. And we're going to go ahead and apply that, or take that off actually. Go to edit mode. And now we're going to start selecting some of this stuff so we can actually make part of the shoe. This is a real easy way to kind of just make stuff. Hitting shift key, go around, get rid of these ones on the side. And just get rid of the stuff on the sides. I will only want that little back piece section there, which is the edge, and this will come out a lot nicer. So again, I'm going to use the actual extrusion here, bring this up a little bit, and bring it up again. First of all, I'm going to hit the G key and move it in on the Y. Just trying to get this to kind of form around the ankle. G key again, Y. We can move it a little bit to the X on the G, just like that. Now I'm going to select this line here. I'm going to move this in a little bit to the right side. So now I'm going to create the actual piece that goes around the top of the foot, and I'm going to pull that out with the extrusion. Bring it up a little bit with the G key. Also going to use the R key to kind of rotate it upward and bring it back a little bit. So again, it takes a little bit of work here. Go ahead and go to the front now and kind of rotate it again. Just doing it manually, like that. Shrink it down a little bit. It's way too big. And bring it up a little bit. There we go. So we're going to bring this up a little bit and out with the extrusion. We're just kind of getting ourselves kind of placed here. So rotating this around. Went to the top view here to see what I'm doing. As you can see, it's way too far out. I'm trying to rotate this around. Like that. And G key, move it back in. And just kind of placing it where it needs to go. Again, rotate it again. And try to maneuver this kind of so it fits the right contour. This is a little bit complicated. Trying to get this to position properly, of course. Just like that. And I kind of did this just to get myself a good position to connect these two sections together. So again, select both of these edges here. I'm going to go to edge, and I'm going to go to the bridge loops. And I'm going to actually bring the arrow down on the bottom here. So go to number of cuts, and let's bring this up. As you see, I just added that, and it actually followed the contour. And that works out well. I'm good with that. So now I'm going to go in and select this with the Alt key, Alt, and it goes all the way around. Delete. Faces. There we go. And again, we're going to do this one as well. So make sure it goes all around with the Alt, Delete. And there we go. Now we can actually I'm just going to go in and close these up. So 4 of these. F key. Make sure it's in the right direction. Same with this one. So again, continue to build this out. F key. And now I'm going to select these faces and bring this over just a little bit. Yeah, this would be nice. So select Shift with the face selection. So select that one and this one. Again, go to Edge, Bridge Edge Loops, and we're going to bring this up just a little bit on number. Something like that. Great. Left click. All right, that looks a lot better. And we can maneuver some things like this one is a little sharp there. I'm going to go ahead and G key it up, make it more rounded. All right, so I'm going to select this here, kind of give it more of a round feeling. So select this one first, hit the Control B, and then pull this out. And then I'm going to roll it the mouse wheel to give it some more detail there, just to give it some roundness. And same thing over here. So Control B, pull it out. It's going to keep the same roundness as what we just did. So there we go. That looks nice. I'm going to select this and move it down with G key. Just kind of lining things up a little bit better. G key, up and down. Just eyeing it. All right, so now we go back to object mode. Move this over a little bit. Bring it up. Just try and get more toward the toes. There we go. Just to give it some spacing. And we can go here. And again, I'm going to go back, sub D this, and see how that looks without doing anything. I'm going to remesh it. I'm going to go ahead and apply this. And go back to sculpt mode. And now I'm going to actually move this into place, just to kind of get it more closer to the foot. Bring that up a little bit. Again, we're using small increment pulling with the grab brush. Bring this down a little bit more so it's not selecting the other side. It's a real easy way to maneuver things. All right, so I feel this shoe's too big, so I'm going to pull it in a little bit. And again, I'm going to have to go back to the other view, see what I'm doing here. So bring that in as well. And kind of get it organized there. I think that looks better. Bring this up to the bottom of the foot. Same on the other side. Just to kind of get it more smooth. And the toe is a little bit too far out there, so a little bit more pull it out. Yeah, that looks better already. Like I said, just got to do a little bit of sculpting to make it nice. Okay, let's go and do this too. Bring that down just a little bit. Okay, so we're going back to object mode. And let's see what we can do here. Actually, first of all, smooth this a little bit more. Not too much. Just kind of softly. It's a little bit too much there. I had to undo that. Bring down the actual, pull this a little bit here. Do that back section to make it smoother. And the bottom of the feet. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to bring the strength down a little bit more. I don't want to start pulling too much. Clean this up a little bit more. And just get it to where you like it. All right, go back to object mode. We have our shoe. I'm going to go ahead and remesh it this time. Now we got that all done. Just to kind of clean it up a little bit. See, it's got a lot of detail and it's all over the place. So I'm going to remesh it, but I'm going to bring this up to like 2,000 something, 2,500 somewhere there. Go ahead and remesh it. There we go. Let's see what we got. Yeah, that looks a lot nicer. It's deformed properly. That's what we wanted. Okay, I like what I see here, so I'm going to go ahead and use hard ops to kind of mirror this over. Again, if you don't have that, you can just mirror it to the other side. And I'm not going to go over that process. Same with this one, mirror. There's a lot of tutorials out there about mirroring. So, all right, so this is all done now. So I'm going to Control J here to kind of combine them as one because it's going to be the same material. Even though they're not connected, that's not a problem. So I'm going to change this here. Just make it shoe. And then I'm going to get rid of all these other ones. There's no reason to keep all this stuff. And we can unhide these. Okay. So select all three of these and we can delete them. Right click and delete. So now that we have the shoes, looks good. Go back to the standard coloration. Okay, so back in CC5, I'm going to actually go in and select the flip-flops. I don't want those anymore because I'm going to bring my own in, of course. So I'm going to delete that since we created them. And this way the character falls back onto the floor. Okay. So for this part of the tutorial, I'm going to create this burlap type, material on the actual cloth. And I'll probably put most likely a leather just to kind of add that to the shoes. And I'm just using a material for this, so I'm not going to go into too much of that. Now, I'm actually using Synctus materials for this. And I'm also using actually texture images from Polyhaven. So again, Polyhaven is a free resource for downloading textures, and they also have ability to add in costs for someone that wants to support them, of course. Great place to get textures. Anyway, this is a texture that they provide. So I didn't make this personally. It's from them. So keep that in mind. But I'll put a link on the description down below. So here we go. So let's start this process. All right, so we're going to go in and actually select the actual edit mode here. And we're going to start selecting some of these lines to make it easier. So we want to kind of select some lines that are kind of like out of the way, not to get together. I'm not worried so much about the back. I'm going to be mostly, not going to be exactly showing the back, not too much, but to the side a little bit. So I'm okay with that. So I'm going to actually go in here and just select this whole line with the Alt key. And now I've got that, I'm going to hit Mark Scene. And I'm going to do this in a few other places, as you'll see next. So I'm going to go to the side now and kind of start laying this out as well. This is like a nice seam right there down the bottom of the arm and on the side of this, the side of the actual body. And again, mark seam. I'm going to go to this side now and actually go to exactly to that side and go see-through. So I can see the exact line I did earlier. And again, select it, hit the Alt key, and now we have the opposite side. Again, right click. And this time we're going to also do the actual, select that as a seam. So right click, mark as seam. There we go. So everything turns red once you mark it. And I'm going to do a few more here. I'm going to do some around the actual arm, shoulders sections, because that's a good place to kind of just cut it from the rest. And this is going to be a pretty busy texture, so it won't show too much. So I'm going to go in here, just kind of get right where the actual rotation is before it goes into some other weird setup here. So I'm going to select this right here. And again, right click, mark seam. So everything turns red, like I said, and we'll go do this as well. So we're getting closer to finishing this. So right here, kind of get on the side. If you don't get it right, just move over. No, that's not exactly right. So I'm going to go up one more, right about there. Okay, so go ahead and select it with Alt key. All right, so right click. We're going to also mark the seam. So right there. Okay, good. We're going to go in here and kind of zoom in on this actual outfit. And I'm going to make sure I select actually all the faces here. So the first thing you want to do is actually not do this yet, but you want to actually go to the faces first and select them all. And we're going to go in there and say Smart UV Project, and we got this. Now, that's not exactly what I want. I want to go back in and kind of change this a little bit. So instead of selecting that, I'm going to go in again. So basically, I'm going to go back to UV now that I selected them all, and go to UV Unwrap Minimum Stretch. This way, it does pretty much keeps them very tight, which is what we want. So now we got that. We're going to go in and just kind of select this bottom here piece. That's the arms. And it's very similar to the other side, but I'm just going to kind of move it up a little bit, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. Make sure we got them all selected, and then right click and control select those over there so we're not selecting, and just move this in place. Perfect. So we got the actual lines and the seams all selected. And a few things we want to do. We want to go to UV, and I want to also go into here, UV editing. And there we go. And I basically have created this, but I'm just going to start this from scratch so we can see what we're doing here. So I'm going to go in here and just have this selected. Okay, so now that I got this, this is nice and clean now that we've got this all done. And I'm going to do a new map here. So I'm going to click on New. I'm going to create as the cloth texture. I'm going to keep it at 4096 by 4096. I'm also going to change this and make this into UV grid. And I'm going to say new image. And what that does is it puts a numbering image on here so we can see what we're doing. And that works out really good. Now over here, we have the ability now to kind of just make sure that we have this selected. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. Actually say new. I'm going to select this base color right here. And I'm going to say image texture. And now that I got the image texture, I'm going to select that image. So I got the grid texture right here. So I actually saved it over here. So grid texture, open. And now we got this texture here. So to do that, make sure you go image and then save as. And this is where I put it under grid texture PNG. And you can put it wherever you want, but just make sure you remember where you put it. And I wouldn't go with anything with compression. Doesn't need that. Just clean. Save as image, right? So now that this has all this nice detail, as you can see, it looks really nice. The actual image is coming along really good. There's a separation between the arms here, but that's okay. And a little bit in the back. So yeah, I'm good with this. I think it looks nice, and I'm ready to now texture it. Now, I'm bringing this back in. So we got all this saved. I'm going to go ahead and save this now. Save as. I'm going to put Rev 3 here just so I can continue to build off of this thing. Save as. And now that we've got this already set up here and everything's working great, we can go into the shading section here. And you see here that we've kind of already done the actual work here for part of it. We have this now. This is your grid. And I'm not going to use this, of course, but this is just to help you kind of align everything. So I went and actually downloaded the actual images from Polyhaven, and I will send or add a link to the description below. But anyway, I'm going to bring these in from my folder. So they're all going to be in the same place on my D drive. And I'm going to go in to where I put all my PBR textures. These are just ones I'm starting with. I'm going to go with this Heson 230. This is actually, like I said, Polyhaven. And if I click on this, I have the textures all in here. So just to make things easier, because I don't have to do this 1,000 times, I'm going to go and select everything here and say Control C. So I can just copy and paste this whole thing. So now that I got the main image selected here, I want to make sure I use the diffuse map, which is this one here, and say Open Image. And this will give you this. Now, one thing we can do is right off the bat, you can do a Control T. This is bring your actual Road Wrangler. You got to make sure you have this actually enabled under your actual edit preferences. So Road Wrangler. And this helps you change the sizes here. So this is, say you want to make this a little bit smaller. You can make it smaller. And we basically go upward a little bit. And we can make it a little bit thicker as well. Anyway, that's the normal way to do this. You can rotate it, do all kinds of things. I might make this a little bit smaller. Maybe somewhere in here. Maybe 3 something. Let's go with 3.7. See how that looks. Yeah, that looks nice. That's like a nice fabric. Now, it doesn't have any depth to it yet, but that's okay. We'll get there. And what we can do now is we can just do a duplicate here, and we can start moving these things over. So I'm going to start adding this stuff. And this will continue. This is under UV, so we're good. And this will be the actual, now the metallic. So open. And again, if it's not there, if it's there, it's good. So we can go metal, open, but we can bring this over here to metallic. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Duplicate, open, roughness this time will be this one, open. This one will go here, roughness. We can bring this over here. Again, this will go from here to here to give it a nice detail there. Non-color. And again, we'll continue. This will go here. We're going to do normal. And we're actually going to do, I'm just going to type this in here. Normal. We want to make sure we get the normal map. This is what we need. And again, duplicate this right here. Bring it over. And again, open. Every time I duplicate it, it keeps the same folder system, so it saves time. And we'll go normal, open, and again, this goes here. And that's giving it some depth now, which is great. I really like the way this is coming out. It gives it like a fabric fill. And we could just do a bump map, or we could add in more of a displacement, but I really don't want to displace. It takes a lot more effort. I'm going to go ahead and now and just do another one of these. So I'm going to go here. Actually, let's do this for a second here. Let's do this. I'm going to do bump normal, just like that. And now that we got this, we can go from here to here, and that gives you a bump plus the normal map. Kind of gives you a nice look. And I think that looks really nice. It gives it a feel of, it has some thickness to it. Okay, so what we can also do is we can go with specular, and we can bring in the IROR, bring this out. Actually, we're going to do this again. Duplicate, This time we're going to save this as a specular. Now, normally you don't need all these maps, but I'm just going to do it because we have them. And it works fine with it. So, all right, so I'm good with all that. I think that looks really nice. The texture looks really good. Now, like I said, if you want to add in a little bit more oomph to it, you could add a displacement, but just remind yourself that it is very costly. It's going to add a lot more detail to this object here. And this has already got this. I could bring this down maybe 1, and it's still fine. And it's less, faces and triangles there, and it still looks nice. I could even go down, most likely all the way down. I only have 11,000. See, it looks still really nice. And I don't need this extra detail, so we can just get rid of this. All right, so there's your clothes for your fabric. And so let's go ahead and go up here now. And I got my sandals. And again, I didn't do anything with these, but again, same type of process. We can go in here and kind of just modify things. So I'm going to go in here and actually just go ahead and go to UV editing, and we'll start adjusting this thing. I'm going to take the bottom of the shoe and kind of break it loose from the top. So we can hit the line again. Just use this with the Alt key and right click. And again, mark seam. Same thing here. Select the whole bottom right here, right click, mark seam. This way all this stuff is separate. And we can go in here and just select this center right here, because these are not really connected, which is great. Mark seam. And this is another thing that we can get rid of here. So we can go. Now, one thing is this actually does have a subdivision. And I could just go ahead and say apply. So first of all, before you do that, you have to go to object mode. I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. I don't want to keep doing this over and over again, so I'm good with that. Edit mode. I like the detail. I'm going to try to just go with this. I did this one. Let's see. I'll do this one too. Now these things have to go away, so I can select all. And then I could right click and then clear sharp. I don't want anything to be sharp on that. I can now go in here and select this. And we can mark this as seam. All right, let's try this. So we're going to select all these. Select all. And these are going to be polys. So I'm going to go over here now. Again, UV editing. I'm going to go to UV. We're going to go to unwrap minimum stretch. Okay, so I've added this here and I have the minimum stretch. And it might work out okay. Again, shoes are going to be very small in detail. There might be some pinching here. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and go with it, see how it comes out. I normally don't want to leave something like this, but I'm just out of time here. So I'm going to go ahead and image, make sure it's new. And we're going to call this shoes. So that way I know exactly which one it is. We got the UV grid and new image. And now it has its own name. All right, so that's easy enough. And now we can go back in here. We can go back here. And we could assign new. We can go back here. We're going to do image texture. And we're going to open up these shoe. But number one, before we do this, we're going to have to say image, save as, and we'll call it shoe PNG. Go back here, save image. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can open shoe PNG. There we go. Now if you go out of here, you'll see that it has some stretching right here. It's a little bit on the top. And, I can get away from that just by kind of just redoing this piece here. Yeah, I'm going to have to do something here. So let's try. So a couple things we could do here is I'm going to go and cut it right here. I think that will look nice right there. So select the edge, Alt key, it went around, right? Same thing here. Alt key. So let's just do this. We're going to mark scene here. Mark scene. We'll do the same thing on the other one. This way I'm not going to get so much band stretching here. It's just going to be troublesome. So I don't want to have that. So again, Alt. Whoops, we're going to get this one, Alt. Right click, mark scene. We'll go with this one here, Alt. Whoops. We have to go with this one because the other ones go all the way around. So again, mark scene. And we could also select down the center here. So right down the center of this, center of that. This will cut some of this. I'm going to go ahead and deselect this one. Deselect these. And these. And right click, mark scene. That will kind of break that up. Go here too, Alt. I think that would be nice. Mark scene. All right, so again, select all. Select all. We got the faces now. And again, we're going to go back to UV, minimum stretch. And this will take a second. Yeah, we got a lot more now. Yeah, I think that's going to look nicer. So see how we do have a little bit of band stretching here, but it's a lot better. And how's this one looking? That looks really good too. Again, we can deselect and just look at it. Yeah, I think that looks good. So now we can use the actual leather. And let's go ahead and do that next. So we got this now. We're going to, now that we got this all completed here, we're going to go now to shading. And again, this texture that I'm going to be using again is from Polyhaven. So we're going to go in here, zoom in. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this one out a little bit. Open. D. Make sure you remember where you put all your files. And we're going to go with the leather. So we're going to go with the difference here for the main colors, just like that. See, this is kind of nice. And then we're going to go and add a few more. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. Duplicate. And we'll bring this over to metallic. And we'll go here. And we don't have metallic, so we have roughness. That's okay. So we'll go with roughness. And I'm going to bring this to roughness. There we go. And we're going to continue. Duplicate. Bring this up. And I think this will be normal map. So I'm just go here. Normal map. Bring this here. And we can actually select this now. Open, normal. So we got also displacement. We could use that for the bump. Or we could just use this. It's fine. So let's just do this. BUMP. Okay, bump, height, and we can now, we can get rid of this. This can go here. This can go here. And this can go here. There we go. All right, that looks really nice. It looks like it is like leather shoes. This is kind of weird, but that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. I'm just going to do one. Control T. Move this over a little bit. And we take the vector and go to these other ones as well. So bring it down. There we go. Yeah, I think that's going to look nice. I'm going to also rotate some of this. See how it comes out. I don't like the way this looks, of course, but let's just see what we can do here. So I'm going to bring it up just a little bit. See, it's now too big, but I'm kind of okay with this. I might rotate it. Let's see where we can rotate this piece. So it goes great there, but I kind of want to bring it to this back side. All right, so we're almost there. Let's just go ahead. Actually, I think I'm going to scale this up a little bit more because I think it'd be nicer to have more of those designs on my shoes. We can also add a little bit more to this if we want. Okay, I think I'm good with that. So there we go. So now the shoes are done. The actual outfit's done. And yeah, let's go ahead and now export these. So some other quick repairs that I'm going to do here is I'm going to fix the foot a little bit. I think this is a little bit too far in, so I'm going to hit the G key and move this on the Y just to kind of bring it back a little bit. I think right about there. I'm also going to bring this down, G key, Z, and just bring it down so the foot's on top of this, in a sense. And you'll see that it's kind of, penetrating here. So let's go ahead and fix this. So let's go back into, real simple, go back into the actual sculpt mode. And we're going to go down to the foot. And we already got this selected. And I'm going to make sure I got the drag. We're going to pull this out, right? Just like that. Simple, right? And the same thing here. And then we could also drag this in just a little bit and pull this out. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit better angle here. Kind of maneuver in a little bit. See how this is, if I get a little closer, a little bit more control. This can go in a little bit just to kind of get it closer to the ankle. This can go out a little bit, just like that. Yeah, that looks a lot nicer. Just kind of get this kind of closer to the foot. Again, just a little bit of cleanup work afterwards, sometimes it goes a long ways. I'm going to bring this out a little bit too. Just like that. This way it's not all the same. Okay, there we go. So there we go. The foot looks better already. Now let's go back to the actual layout mode. And again, we're going to go in and kind of just modify this. So now that we got this, we're going to go to shading mode. And I'm going to show you this process again real quickly so you guys can understand what the process is. So again, I don't really care too much about the sandals because it's going to be very far away, hard to see. I just want to have a nice texture on it. And I've already got basically my main mapping here, which I'm just using three things: a normal map, a roughness map, and a actual main image map, which is the diffuse map. So as simple as it gets when it comes to baking, we're just going to add in. We're going to do this 3 times basically. So if you want to fast forward after you get it done, that's fine. So I'm going to go to texture, image, texture, and just set it right here. Now with the foot, I don't necessarily need to go as detailed as the actual main cloth. because it's smaller. So I'm going to just do new here. I'm going to make this 2048 because I don't need to go as high on this one. 2048. Just fuse. And this way it will be exactly as you need it. So we're going to say new image. And now it's set up. Now I'm going to go back again and to make sure this is under render mode. Go all the way down to it shows bake. We're going to select the diffuse here. So go down to diffuse. And see, it's taken the whole image that was there before. We're going to say diffuse, and now we're going to bake this. I'm going to pause. Okay, so now we got our foot. You see that's kind of imprinted into that, which is fine. It has the shadows on it. And we're going to go here, select this image. We're going to say save as. And again, since we already got everything here, I'm going to say footwear diffuse. That's fine. We'll take this compression off. Save as image. That actually now has that saved for us. Okay, so now we can go back and we can rename this as roughness. So we don't have to keep creating everything over and over again. Roughness. And again, it's the same thing. We're going to go ahead here. And this time we're going to go to roughness and we'll bake it again. So here's your roughness map. It's all been done. Again, select this image, save as. And in here, we're going to call this rough. Rough. And that way we have that all set up. And then we're going to go back and do one more. This will be normal. This will help us give more detail. It just helps like with a bump, similar. And we can go with non-color is fine. And in here, I'm going to select normal. So bake as a normal. And there we go. Now we got our normal map. We can go in here again, select it, image. Again, save as footwear. And this one will be called normal. And yep, save as image. Done. So one thing I'm going to suggest right off the bat is I think this needs to be a little bit smaller. Now that I'm looking at it again, I'm just going to go back over here, bring this up to like maybe 6.8. Let's go back to 6.8. And we can bring this up a little bit more. All right, so we got the actual texture that we really like. We've dialed it in. We've resized it to what we think would be the best size for this texture. And again, it's like a burlap type material. This is not going to work, of course, but I'll fix that in a second. First of all, well, maybe do it now. Let's just go ahead and go in here. We can go back into actually sculpt mode. And we'll just pull this out just a little bit. See right here. Just drag it. So we can go to drag right here. And we can pull this out like that. And we're done with it. All right, so let's go back. Layout. Shading. And there we go. Now that's fixed. Okay. So we like our texture and we want to actually go to the next step. See, the problem is when we do these sizes and stuff, this stuff does not correlate back into basically CC5 or iClone. It won't keep all this sizes and stuff. So it won't keep a lot of this stuff. So the best thing to do is actually go ahead and bake these things so they're done right after, since we've already done the UV mapping and all that stuff. Now, if you don't want to do any of that stuff in iClone, that's fine. You can do all the no baking at all and just create the animations and bring it back in and then add textures within Blender without having to go through the UV process. But again, that's another step. if you want. It's a little bit quicker and easier, but anyway, I'm just going to show the process here to make it so people want to do UV mapping, they can. So the characters are fully UV. So in here, so everything's set up. We have our main base color, we have our metallic color, we have our roughness, we have our normal map, we have an actual specular, and that's pretty much it. And I'm not going to use all these either. I'm just going to use the normal map, roughness map, and the main map. That's the only three that I'm going to really care about. And to do this, all you got to do is go into add. We're going to add in a texture, image texture, and just set it to the side here. And in here, we're going to say new. I'm going to go with 4096 because I want it to be big enough. And I'm going to save it as, let's just say image test, because I've already done this already. Anyway, I just show the basics here. You just do this for all the actual baking. And we could say new image. Keep it as RGB is fine. And then in the actual render, we got to make sure that this is set up to cycles and GPU compute, if that makes sense, or CPU, whatever your system's set up for. But I recommend GPU if you have a good video card, of course. So in here, you got to go down to where it says bake. This is the important part. Now we got different actual options here. And if you select down, one thing we can do is just bring this up a little bit more to see everything. And then if I go in here, you got all these options. We got normal map, the UV map, roughness map, emit map, like if you're doing like an emission, environmental map, diffuse. Diffuse is your main color map. And really the biggest ones for me is diffuse. You can use glossy for like the metal. So we can do diffuse, roughness, and normal. And I'm going to actually just show, because I've already done other ones, but I'm going to do the actual glossy for metal. So that will be my glossy. And now that it's been selected, and what it's doing is it's going to take all this material here and make it into a glossy map. So what we can do now is that we got to make sure that this object's selected and this is selected. We just hit the bake. And it goes through the process of doing this. If it doesn't work, that means you maybe not be selected properly. Once it goes through the proper, iterations here, it also uses the UV information. So it creates everything as a UV in a sense. So it goes around your object as it should. Okay, so now that it's done, it created this image down here on the left side. And this is your actual glossy image. So what we could do here is we could go down to this little thing here. Go to image, we're going to save as, and this is where you got to remember where all this stuff's at. So as you can see, I already have my main texture. I have a roughness map. I have a normal map. I actually have an AO map. That's up to you, of course. And this one's going to be I'm going to call it again, main, cloth, character. And in this one, I'm just going to say metal because it just refers back to me. So I know that it's metal. And I'm going to bring this down to 0. Save image. Now we can import. The close. This one. Open. Now, we could hit the G key, or we could actually use this to move just a smidgen up. And that worked out great. So let's just see what this looks like now. Yeah, nothing's going through. Perfect. All right, so again, we got to go back in here and kind of just select the base color. You just got to do 3 of these really. Double click it. Main close. Texture. Open. And that should be correct. We can get rid of this one. Normal map. PNG, this one. Okay. And then the roughness. This one. Okay. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, again, since we now brought it back in, we got to make sure that we attach it properly. So we're going to go in here, pick parent. We're going to pick the character. I'm just going to go to pick parent and then select the neck here. Spine too is fine. And now that it's attached, we can go in here and say transfer skin weights, dress, apply, and we can close. And then same thing, we'll bring the footwear in again, open, import footwear, shoes number 1, bring that in. And it might be a little too low, that's okay. We're just going to move it with the move tool, bring it up just a smidgen, just like that. Okay, now we can go back out, double click it. We are going to also, basically pick parent, and we're going to go somewhere in here. And it went to the pelvis area, that's perfect. And then we can go down or up, pick transfer weights, shoes, apply. Again, it causes a little bit of, time, but it's not that bad. Okay, went through the process. Takes a few seconds here. And now I can close this once it's done. And again, we're going to now change the texture, base color, shoes, diffuse, open. Again, this is not as high resolution as the other one. We can go normal, footwear normal, open, and we make this into a normal map, and then roughness, same thing, shoes. We're going to go with the footwear rough. And that's pretty much it. And then I could just delete these other ones. There's no reason for this to be here. Delete that. Delete this. And we're good to go. Now let's go back to motion. And we have our character. So this is basically part 1 of this tutorial. And continue to watch as I develop the scene for this character and another character with him. All right. So A-frame. Let's go back to male, walk. See how this looks. All right, so we've created basically a character. We've added clothes to him and modified clothes. We've modified shoes. And now the character is walking like if he's in the desert. So that's it for part 1. Thank you.